What's the most useless piece of information that you know off the top of your head? The first elevator shaft was built before the elevator was invented. The guy knew elevators were going to be on the market soon, so he incorporated a shaft into his new building so it would be ready. Unfortunately, the elevator shaft he built was round and so no elevator could fit in it. AWW, that made me so sad. And probably him too. In A Clockwork Orange, Alex's prison number is 655,321. I have no idea why I would even know that or why it would stick with me 20 years after seeing the film. Or as they used to call it, A Clockwork Yellow Red. That the sound of an Imperial TIE fighter from Star Wars is a mix of a car thriving on wet pavement and an elephant trumpeting. The TIE fighter stands for Twin Iron Engine. They are a real thing and are used by satellites to keep orbit around the Earth. Godzilla holds the Guinness World Records for being the longest continuously running movie franchise ever, and it is still going. Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones is an avid reader. Contrary to his popular image, he owns one of the world's largest private libraries, and often spends days at a time reading when he's not touring. My friend and I did some rudimentary estimation a few years ago, and came to the conclusion that Keith Richards had probably smoked approximately 850,000 cigarettes in his life. Probably more like 900,000 now. I hope he makes it to 1 million. Koalas are so dumb that if you put leaves that aren't on a tree in front of them, they would starve before thinking it's food. Flatworms have 2 penises that they use to fight each other, called penis fencing. The winner inseminates the loser, who then becomes the female and carries the eggs. Worst date ever. The item number for pumpkins at Costco is 80,085. I giggled every season because new hires wondered how I memorized it since we just got them and it's been a whole year since. Until I tell them the number and the mind of their inner child clicks. I can't believe this isn't on purpose. The stars on the flag of Brazil represent the exact sky at the date and time of independence. A capitonym is a word that changes its meaning, and sometimes its pronunciation, when capitalized. 1. Polish, to make shine. 2. Polish, relating to Poland. A retronym is a word term that was created retroactively because another word term was invented. Snail mail was just mail before email. Acoustic guitars were just guitars before electric guitars. When the idea to make a second Star Trek movie came around, Paramount decided to let their television division make it. This saved a lot of money and resulted in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. All vanilla plants are pollinated by hand because the species of bees that used to pollinate them are all extinct. That's why vanilla is such an expensive spice. Oak trees naturally contain the same chemical compound, vanillin. This is why whiskeys and wines aged in oak barrels often have a vanilla flavor. I was made for loving you, baby. You were made for loving me. The number of syllables in this is the same as the number of stairs going from the second floor to the main floor of my condo building. I know this because that song was stuck in my head and I sang it in my head as I walked down the stair to the song's rhythm. This is the most useless one yet, for sure. Bluetooth is named after the Danish king Harald Bluetooth. His initials in the old Nordic alphabet combined are the Bluetooth symbol. The developers of Bluetooth are, mainly, 2 Scandinavians who as children loved stories about medieval Nordic kings, which inspired the name in the first place. Also, and totally unrelated, the fear of long words is called hippopotamonstrosesquipedaliophobia. Also, Bluetooth was not the intended project name. Their preferred choice turned out to be copyrighted days before launch, so they stuck with Bluetooth. Researchers use obsession by Calvin Klein to attract animals, like jaguars. I'm in jungles so they can study them. Also, ostrich farmers have a hard time getting ostriches to mate because the ostriches, both male and female, will usually show more interest in the farmer. Ostriches are reverse furries. Edit. There. Fixed. Didn't know I had so many internet dads. Edit again my phone's autocorrect loves apostrophes. Okay. Edit again. I posted this when this thread was about 2k comments deep. I think. I'm glad my unique ability to forget everything important, but retain all useless knowledge, finally came in use for something. Here are some more useless facts that have burrowed into my brain like a freaking tumor. A dentist invented the electric chair as a humane way of anesthetizing people for oral surgery because laughing gas just wasn't cutting it, killing people. I was wrong. Wikipedia got me good. It was supposed to be more humane than hanging. Funny when you consider it actually slowly cooked most of the people strapped in. There is a town in Chile called Calama where it has never rained. Totally not right. Don't trust those book fair books, kids. All lies. It actually has an annual rainfall of about 5 mm. Don't like mosquito bites. Don't wear blue. For some reason those little buttholes are more likely to bite someone wearing blue. If you frick rigorously for an hour you should burn about 360 calories. Roughly the same as a running somewhere around 5.5 miles per hour for 30 minutes on a treadmill, but less excruciating. If you average it out, Americans eat about 18 acres of pizza daily. In the 70s Mattel made a toy that had titties that grew when you turned her arms. We know turtles breathe through their butt, but there is a species of turtle that pisses through its mouth. The Chinese softshell turtle. A group of crows is called a murder. Duh. But a group of cats is called a cloder. Instead of crazy cat lady we should call her the cloder crowder. Kangaroos can't hop if you lift their tails off the ground. Come on, I can keep going. Not useless. Will now suggest obsession to anyone going on a rainforest adventure. Since popcorn pops because the water inside the hard outer shell expands as it turns to steam, soaking dead popcorn kernels restores them to poppability. Disney's Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, now closed, at California Adventure stands at 183 feet tall and was the tallest building in the city of Anaheim. The attraction was replaced by Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, which uses the same structure and ride system. Similarly, Cinderella's castle in Disney World is something like 185 feet tall because at 200 you have to put flashing lights on it to warn planes. Also, all of Disney World is a no-fly zone, much like the White House, so there is no reason to have the lights on it anyways. The code for all arenas and characters in Vigilante 84N64 is JTBT7CFD1LRMGW. Christ. For Turok. Dinosaur Hunter. The ultimate cheat was NTHGTHDGDCRTDTRK. Baby elephants suck on their trunks just like human babies will suck on their thumbs. Elephants think we're cute. They see us like we see dogs. Penguins have an organ above their eyes that converts seawater to fresh water. -40°C and -40°F are the same temperature. I remember typing the conversion for this on Google and thinking it was a bug, lol. There was more time between when Stegosaurus lived and when Tyrannosaurus lived than between Tyrannosaurus and humans. Similar but unrelated, Cleopatra lived closer to today than to the building of the pyramids. The phrase "mind your P's and Q's" originated with printers. Handset metal type is reversed, so it prints facing the correct direction. So a lowercase p looks like a Q and is very easy to mix up while typesetting. The same is true of lower case B's and E's. Contrary to popular opinion, the phrase has nothing to do with pints and quarts. The University of Oxford was founded before the Aztec Empire was. Invariably shows up on these threads and haven't seen anyone post it. Oxford and Cambridge didn't even teach calculus when they opened. It hadn't been invented. Lake Superior has an island which has a lake which has an island which has a pond which has a boulder, which, when the pond floods, becomes the largest island in the largest lake on the largest island in the largest lake on the largest island in the largest lake in the world. Arabian areas import camels from Australia, where it is more abundant. Strangely enough, Arabian camels have faster movement, but Australian camel meat tastes better. I may have switched that second part, I only heard this trivia once years ago. They also import sand from Australia. The timestamp when Phoebe Cates bears her beautiful tea in the infamous pool scene in Fast Times at Ridgemont High is 51:50, same as the Van Halen album. Dude, the question was useless. It's time for corn facts. Corn is a grass. The chaff that gets stuck in your teeth are very shrunken leaves called glumes and lemma. These leaves are part of the structure that determines what is considered a grass. They also exist in a different form on the corn tassels, which is the male part of corn. The cobs are the female. The rows on a corn cob are also always an even number. This is because under the surface, the kernels develop in pairs. Sometimes you'll see a wonky row where something went wrong, but in general, the rows are even. And for all you gluten-free people, if you eat sorghum bread, just know that corn and sorghum, and sugarcane, are in the same family. If corn makes you sick, sorghum might too. There's always at least one place on the Earth's surface with no wind. This is called the hairy ball theorem. On top of this, there should usually be exactly 2 such places. Even worse, if the Earth were a 4-dimensional ball instead of a 3-dimensional one, that wouldn't be the case. The trick to getting the last air bubbles out of the fuel lines, after you let the fuel tank run dry like an idiot on an old diesel Massey Ferguson tractor, is to crack open the nuts on the engine block and keep pumping that fuel priming switch. The air will then escape through the combustion chamber. Facebook bans all GIFs of Hitler, the Holocaust, Jews, Nazis, using the GIF on Messenger, but other murderous dictators are available. Kinda weird. During the recording of the Beatles, the White Album, Ringo Starr had left the band and didn't plan on returning. He would rejoin, of course, but more on that later. The drum tracks on Back in the USSR, Dear Prudence, and I Believe a Bloody, a Blada, were done by Paul McCartney. When Ringo returned, George had his drum kit covered in flowers, and a huge banner made that said something along the lines of "Welcome home, Ringo." More Beatles trivia: Paul and John weren't taking George seriously, and while My Guitar Gently Weeps was in serious jeopardy of not making it onto the album, so George brought his friend into the studio to play guitar on the track, and to get everyone to behave. That friend, Eric Clapton. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.